A monster who drugged, raped, and murdered a 3-year-old girl gets sentenced to life in prison. But just a few weeks later, he's found dead in his cell. The official cause of death? A complete secret. This is the chilling, true story of Robert Fisher and the shocking prison mystery that has the internet buzzing. Go deep into the twisted details of the crime, the stunning lack of answers from authorities, and the eerie silence surrounding a killer's final moments. Was this an act of brutal justice, a medical event, or something more sinister? Find out why this unsolved mystery has left investigators speechless and the public demanding answers. Subscribe for more shocking true crime cases and mysterious stories you won't believe. Robert Fisher is a name you'll never forget because he committed a crime so evil, so vile, that it made hardened cops sick to their stomachs. But the real mystery, the part that will mess with your head, is how his story ended. Because just a few weeks after he was locked away for good, he was dead. And no one, not even the people who put him in prison, would say why. This is the case of Robert Fisher and little Josephina Cunningham. And trust me, you are not ready for this. Okay, let's go back. Let's set the scene. It's a quiet summer in Rensselaer, New York. It's the kind of place you've seen 1,000 times in movies. Small town, pretty houses, kids playing outside. And in one of those houses lives a little girl named Josephina. Her friends and family call her Josie. She's only 3 years old. Just a little human, still learning to talk and run and laugh. She's got this whole life ahead of her. A whole life that's about to be stolen. And it's going to be stolen by a man who was supposed to be a friend, a guy her family knew, a guy who was trusted, Robert Fisher. He was 34 years old, and he looked normal, just a guy. No fangs, no claws, but inside, he was a shadow, a total void of a human being. On July 6, 2023, he was left in charge of little Josie, and that night, he did something to her that is beyond comprehension. Something so dark it's hard to even put into words. In court, they said he drugged her. He didn't just hurt her. He messed with her mind first. He gave her a mix of drugs, things like alprazolam and olanzapine. These are hardcore adult drugs, drugs meant to knock you out, to make you defenseless, and he gave them to a 3-year-old. And after that, he did things to her, things that are just unspeakable. He sexually assaulted her, and then when he was done, he murdered her. And here's the part that makes your blood run cold. He didn't panic. He didn't run away. He tried to cover it up, like this was a chore, like he was cleaning up a spill. The details that came out in court are still unbelievable. They said he took a chemical wipe, like a Clorox wipe, and he used it on her. He scrubbed her face so hard, so violently that he burned the pigment right off of her skin. He literally tried to erase what he had done with a chemical wipe. The sheer coldness of that, it's a level of evil you just can't process. It's the kind of thing that makes you want to scream. But then the next morning, the police got the call. And when they showed up to the scene, they knew instantly. This was bad, worse than bad. They saw little Josie, and they saw what he had done to her. And according to the people who were there, hardened cops, people who had seen it all, they were sickened. They were literally getting sick. That's how bad it was. But those cops, they got to work. They started digging, they started looking for him. And it didn't take long. The evidence was all there. It was like Fisher wasn't even smart enough to hide it. He was a monster, but he was a stupid monster. They found him, they arrested him, and they charged him with murder and rape. And the entire town, they just held their breath. Because now comes the trial. Now came the long fight for justice. But it didn't last long, because Fisher knew he was screwed. He knew he was caught. The evidence was a mountain too big to climb, so he took a plea deal. He pleaded guilty to everything. Murder in the 2nd degree, rape in the 1st degree. He admitted it, all of it. And on September 10th, 2023, he walked into a courtroom for his sentencing. The tension in that room must have been so thick you could cut it with a knife. The judge looked at him, the family was there, the investigators who had seen the horror he caused were there, and the judge handed down his sentence. 20 years to life in state prison. For most people, this was it, the end of the story. Fisher would go to prison, he'd sit in a cell, and he'd have a long, painful life ahead of him. And according to the police chief, Warren Familiari, he didn't expect him to have a smooth time in prison, which is, the most polite way of saying what we're all thinking. He was going to a place full of people who don't take kindly to monsters. And for a brief moment, it felt like the world was right again. Justice had been served. Or had it? Because this is where the story takes a hard right turn into the bizarre. Just 6 weeks after he was sentenced, just a few weeks after he arrived at Elmira Correctional Facility, the news broke. Robert Fisher was dead. He was found in his cell, gone, and the entire community was hit with this insane mix of shock and relief. You had people like Josephina's older brother, Jaquan Stewart, who said his mom was just at peace, that the nightmare was finally over. But then the questions started, and the answers never came. The Rensselaer police were told he died, but they were kept in the dark about how. The official word was that the Department of Corrections was investigating, but the silence was deafening, and it got weirder, because a reporter started digging, and they found something incredible. On the very same day that Robert Fisher was found dead, another inmate at the very same prison also died. His name was William Brand, and when reporters asked how he died, they got an answer right away. The state police said he died from a medical condition. So for William Brand, no mystery, no secret, just a simple medical explanation. But for Robert Fisher, the monster who killed a child, nothing. Total silence. The cause of death was being held back. The public couldn't know, the media couldn't know, and the big question became, why? Why the secrecy for this one guy? If it was a medical issue, why not just say it? It's not like they're protecting his privacy. This guy was a public figure in the worst possible way. So people started to speculate. Did he take his own life? Was he given an early, brutal version of justice by his fellow inmates? I mean, we don't know. And the state didn't seem to want us to know. A local news station, WNYT, filed a formal request, a Freedom of Information Law request. They wanted to see the autopsy report. They wanted answers, and they were denied, rejected. 2 months later, the answer was still no. So here we are. A monster commits a horrific crime, he gets sentenced to life in prison, and a few weeks later, he's gone. The official story is a total blank, a big old question mark. And maybe that's the point. Maybe this is a new kind of justice, not the kind you see on TV with the long trials and the final verdict, but the kind that happens in the shadows. It's a chilling thought that some people, some monsters, don't get a smooth time in prison. They don't even get a long time. They get an ending. And in the end, whether it was a medical issue or something else, Robert Fisher is gone. He's not a threat. He's not in a cell. He's just gone. And for the family of little Josie, that was all the justice they needed. Because in the end, the only thing that mattered was that he was gone. And the mystery of how he left, well, maybe that's a story best left untold. Don't forget to press bell notification.